What a man. The Chicago History Museum proudly salutes Franz Jackson with its Theodore Thomas History Maker Award for distinction in the performing arts. Accepting his award for him tonight, his daughter, Michelle Jewell. Michelle?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to be here this evening to accept this award on behalf of my father, Franz Jackson. First, I would like to thank Mr. Lewis for his remarkable speech about my father and for putting him in that category that he so richly deserves to be in with all of those great former jazz performers. He would be honored. And I'd like to thank Mr. Johnson and the Chicago History Museum and the committee for selecting my father as the recipient of the Theodore Thomas Making History Award with the distinction in performing arts. It's an extraordinarily prestigious honor, and he would have loved to have been here to accept it himself. Obviously, being here tonight is a bit bittersweet for me. My dad passed away 9 days ago at the age of 95. And some have mentioned my courage in keeping my commitment to accept this award under the circumstances. I don't really see my being here tonight as courageous. No matter where he was in the world, this city was always his home. So I consider it a tribute to his memory to be back here with you tonight on his behalf. My dad did nothing but play jazz since the moment he taught himself to play the saxophone at age 13. He raised 2 children, maintained 2 homes, and helped support his mother and his sisters entirely on his earnings as a musician. He migrated to Chicago from his birthplace, Rock Island, with his mother and 2 sisters as a boy, and he became a part of this city's wonderful musical landscape. His roots here are anchored very deep. In his 95 years of life, he witnessed the evolution of Chicago and the world. He even participated in some of those changes, and he made history himself. When he and a handful of other musicians and jazz aficionados founded the Jazz Institute of Chicago in 1969, they did so to ensure that jazz, the beat that played while this city grew, was not lost, despite the changing face of music. My father steadfastly held true to the soul of his music, as one by one of his contemporaries left its stage. Sometimes he felt like he was the last man standing, and indeed, by many accounts, he was exactly that. He took Chicago jazz across this country and throughout the world, and left not only his own, but this city's musical fingerprint on countless cultures and hundreds of thousands of people. The list is entirely too extensive to recite here the number of people that he played with, but suffice it to say that he did play with virtually every great jazz musician there is or was. From the Chicago greats such as Albert Ammons to today's wonderful John Faddis with the Chicago Jazz Ensemble, and those whose stars rose even higher than that, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Ella Fitzgerald. He recorded dozens of albums, and he taught scores of musicians, young and old, something new every time he picked up his horn, closed his eyes, and blew. He received numerous honors for his contribution to jazz, from the Jazz Institute's Walter Diet Lifetime Achievement Award to being named one of the 5 greatest living tenor saxophonists by the American Heritage Jazz Series. He was humbled by each and every one of those, but I will hazard an educated guess that the Making History Award is one that he would have taken particular pride in because it represents the appreciation and recognition of his historic career in the city that he called home for over 80 years. So I gratefully and humbly accept the Chicago History Museum's Making History Award on behalf of my amazing father, Franz Jackson. Excuse me. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you and the museum for honoring his outstanding career in music and his legacy to Chicago.